And good morning, boys and girls. How y'all doing today? I'm trying to be the Texan.
Like I see you with the y'all. Okay, you're making me feel home.
Am I making progress?
Well, you're trying. I mean, we still got the Jersey accent, but other than that, man, we gotta do something with the rest of that. Sounds like you're ready for some tea and crumpets.
I can do a bit of tea and crumpet at the moment.
Hey, we do what we do when we can do what we do.
You know what crumpet is, don't you? In a slang term.
I do not. Would you like to educate us?
A crumpet is obviously it's a cake, sort of after tea cake, but crumpet is actually a slang word for a nice young lady.
Really? Oh, so my wife
Cheers,
is
everybody! Happy Coffee Day.
My wife is a crumpet. Yes,
she can be wearing the right attire.
No, we're not talking. We're not talking about a harlot, but just a nice young lady. So in case she's watching this, I just want to make sure that I'm in the safe zone. When it comes to that piece.
You're in the safe zone.
Yes, sir. Taking my slang terms from Steven, get me in trouble. Get me in trouble. But man, it's Hump Day, Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it is. Can we start off this morning, James, on what to do if a seller won't fix a home inspection?
If a seller won't fix? So it's interesting you say that because we have one actually.
We've had several of them this week, correct? Right. The end of the year, we're trying to get these deals closed so the sellers can move on and the buyers can move in.
Absolutely.
And start their great 2022. But because it's such a hot market, what's basically happening is sellers don't want to fix stuff.
They don't want
because it's a competitive market, correct?
It is. Now, okay, so you're what they won't do. Here's my question back at you before I answer. As the fiduciary and representing your client, don't you feel that the agent's responsibility is to educate the seller on why they should fix the property?
I think it's I think there's a number of moving parts to this. The first thing is, I think it's primarily the agent's job to give the buyer the different strategies and the different options that the buyer has at a particular part of the contract. For example, you have an inspection done to the house. Mm-hmm. We, at Century 21 this week, we had an interesting Zoom call with some of the agents. Some agent says, well, I've been making offers on houses and some of my buyers don't want to do an option period. I'm on the phone getting frustrated at the broker and saying, why? You should have an option period. You should. Well, we're reducing the amount of days. We're reducing it, which is traditionally maybe 10. Sometimes I've even asked for 15 when I've done contracts. The most the listing agent would give us is maybe 3 or 5 days. And it's so difficult to work out and communicate the options to the buyer of a house in that situation. We even had some agents saying that some buyers have said, no, we don't want an option period. We'll buy it as is. And what I say to everybody is there's a lot of people out there at the moment flipping houses.
Right.
So when they're flipping houses, if I'm painting a room, all right, I could make this room look really good for $1,000. Just slap some paint on it and make it look good. So when a buyer comes in, it smells of fresh paint. It's being fixed up. But really, when you go beyond the paint,
absolutely,
has it got stuff beyond the sheetrock? Has it and it drives me nuts. And one of the things that I've always said and to my agents when I'm training them is that buying a house is like a hamburger.
Okay.
If the foundation's good and the roof's good, then you've got hope of the things in between.
Right.
And then the most costliest problem you'll ever get is plumbing. The second thing is electrical problems.
Right, exactly.
And then it gets into an issue of it gets very disputed. Well, should I get the seller to do the repairs? And I'll be honest with you, I normally say no. You know what? We'll take a seller contribution.
Right.
Because then the buyer has the choice to go out there, choose his contractor, choose the quality of the work that he needs doing.
So it's on them.
So it's basically on the buyer then to make sure that it's done properly.
Absolutely.
And then the seller doesn't have to worry about it. And then there's more money towards their closing costs. So then they can actually close the house for less. Now, in my opinion, there's some agents out there, and every situation's different, but there's some agents out there that say, no, we want the seller to repair it. Honestly, if I'm buying a property, I don't want the seller to repair anything.
Me neither, because they're going to do the cheapest route.
They're going to do the cheapest route
Yes.
they can, because at the end of the day, it's the bottom line that matters to them. Now, is there an onus on the seller to fix it? Absolutely there is. But the way the market is at the moment, I'd rather get the cash in my hand, get the right contractor to do the job that I trust, to know that it's been done properly, and then at the end of the day, you get it done.
So here's the market that we're in now, though, right? Because you, as a level-headed, experienced broker,
well, level-headed, I wouldn't say
well, you
so
got
much,
a little bit.
I can get a little bit emotional.
You got a little
at times.
half moon. I won't say level-headed up there. It's a little got on the terrain up top.
Hey, bold is trendy.
Where we are now, you find that if there are problems that are found, not only will the seller not fix the problems, but in some cases, they don't even want to give any money towards fixing the problem, because that goes into the proceeds, the net proceeds that they're going to get. And I think that's where we fail each other in the market that we're in, because to your point, it makes it easier. Just give the money, you pick someone to fix it, then that means it's on you. You vet the company, and then you're satisfied with how it goes. On a lender's position, if it's something that must be done, for instance.
Right, but that's on the appraisal.
Right.
That
would be on the appraisal.
Just so everybody understands, the inspection, the appraisal are two different types of inspections.
Completely different. Because sometimes a transaction will go through and there's no inspection, but very rarely will you have a transaction go through with no appraisal.
Right.
Go ahead.
And what I was going to say was, when there is a lender required repair, the repair has to be done.
Correct.
So if you've got a good agent, if that's something that's been spotted on the inspection, then you've got to go back to the negotiation table to say, okay, you gave us $10,000 to, in lieu of that repair, that now it's been brought upon the appraisal. What do we do?
Right.
Do we split the cost? Do we, there's different things that you can do. But then, because if the appraiser decides this is a lender required repair, that property is not going to get financing.
Correct.
It's going to fail on the financing.
Correct.
And then you're back to square one.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, what's the seller done? Well, he's arranged all his moving costs.
Mm-hmm.
He's moved his next move. It could be delaying his purchase for the next time. So that's why I say to everybody, just like Jim Cramer, go ahead. You've got to get an experienced agent to do your transaction. You don't take it on yourself.
You have to. And some agents would be, and I think we've worked with companies in the past that will even do the repairs for the seller to be paid at closing. That way they're not having to come out of pocket right at the time of the repair, but they write up an invoice, it's given to the title company, and those repairs can be done and be paid for out of the
Very
proceeds.
good point, James. That's a very good point. But most of all, what I say to everybody, you're not going about all that strategy.
That is strategy.
And that's where brokers come into it, because brokers do not educate agents to tell them the strategies and the processes. And it's real estate's a bit like, well, you solve one problem, but then you open up another door. And
Absolutely.
another door.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I just want to sort of is explain to people is, you could negotiate up until you sign the closing statement.
Document. Yes, absolutely.
Right? But then what do lazy agents do? They don't walk the properties. What do lazy buyers do? They don't inspect the properties.
Yep.
It's okay. We've seen it. We don't want to do it. As soon as they sign that closing documentation, it's theirs. They own the faults.
Yep.
As soon as they've signed that closing statement, you own it, guys. You bought it.
It's a wrap.
And
it's funded.
The other thing that I just want to address is, I can never understand why buyers and the amount of sales that we get goes down before Christmas.
You say you couldn't understand that?
I can never understand it. I've bought more properties in October, November, and December than any other time honestly of the year. I've bought them. I might have refinanced them, just like the property that I bought with you last year. Used you for the financing. We might have refinanced it in January.
Right.
But we've always bought properties in October, November, December. Everybody goes, well, why are you doing that? Because there's less competition.
It is.
There's less buyers out there. Sellers are maybe more motivated because they don't want to pay the $7,000 tax fee that they're going to have to pay on January the 1st. What do sellers do? They don't. And some agents don't understand it because what do the agents do? Oh, it's Christmas. The holidays are coming. I'm putting my feet up. I'm spending some time with my family.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great if you want to do that.
If you want to do that, that's great. I used to be one of those mindsets that did that, 10, 12 years ago. It's the end of the year. You kind of take off, you close. No, not anymore. Because I would say probably in the last 5 or 6 years, the end of the year has been busier than some of the other parts of the year.
And another point I just want to sort of make to you is, at Century 21, we have property time.
Yes.
So property time, just so everybody knows, is the agents have the option to sign up. So when the calls come into the company, there's a live person answering the phone. I believe that if you call Central Olympian, you should have a live person answering that phone from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. As I say to you, James, I'll try to answer my phone at 5 o'clock in the morning. At one time it's before 4:30, but with my health issues anyway. But I like to feel that when people call me, I answer the phone. It's difficult with all the scam calls, but, I'll answer my phone.
Right.
Nobody would do the property time call on Thanksgiving. So as the responsible owner of Central Olympian, I thought, you know what? I'm going to go do my Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm going to take the property calls. So I take my yellow pad, I take my pen, I'm eating my Thanksgiving dinner, and these calls are coming in.
Right.
And I took a call for somebody that wanted to buy a house on Thanksgiving Day, and the reason was they was an executive. They didn't have time to call anybody to make any inquiries. So what did they decide to do? Oh, well, before the executive that now is a consistent customer with us picks up the phone, calls on this house that we've got for sale, and he says, when I told him about the house and everything, that's one of the biggest sales that I've ever had. But that's not just the case about the biggest sale. He's one of the nicest gentlemen that I could ever work for. He respects my professionalism. He respects the processes that we go through. He appreciates me as a professional, explaining the process that we're going through and giving him the options on what he should do. He's a very educated individual. All right. He ended up getting himself a bit of a deal on a house. All right. In the Memorial area, which is in a real nice area.
Very nice area, for sure.
He's probably purchased 6 or 7 houses from me over the last 10 years. What he's also done is referred me out to his friends.
Oh.
So, as I say to everybody, the more you give, the more you gain. But the truth of the matter is, people have got to help you to help them.
And if you look at the entire picture of it, Rob, you just answer the phone.
Because there was a necessity, because nobody wanted to answer the phone on Thanksgiving.
Right.
But it just so happened, and out of that one day, I probably got 5 calls that were pretty good calls.
But that's not that much. I mean, it's not that hard to answer the phone.
Yeah, and it's a bit like COVID. When COVID happened, we had one agent picked up one client who, because she was on social media and involved in social media, she picked up one client that purchased 5 properties and invested. But this time of year, if investors are out there and if homeowners are out there looking at properties, if you're in a position where you can go out there and get a quick close, now's your time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And to that point,
but they need to get qualified first.
They do.
Correct.
I was just going to say that. I couldn't agree any more with it because we've been in an environment where interest rates have been low. Pretty much all year, interest rates have been low. They've been propped up with the government buying bonds, and everything just kind of been with the Feds keeping the rates low. So there's been a very huge push for refinances. And when it comes to that and refinancing loans, loan officers you don't see them on the streets. They don't go to closings. They don't get out and they're not visiting your offices. You're not seeing anyone because they're just doing a bunch of refinance business. Well, I've always been of the mindset, you can't forget about the purchase business because it's going to sustain you. It's never going to go away as long as there's babies being born, people are having children and moving to the area. Homes are going to be purchased no matter what the interest rates do. So you've got to be visible out there in the market so people know that that's what you're doing. So to that point, get pre-qualified, work with a company that can get you in a position to where you can buy and buy with confidence.
Have you got the link? Have you got the link for your app?
I do. I'll have to put it down in the description.
Yeah, you need to put it there.
Put it there so they can actually.
So when people can go on there, because I highly recommend to everybody to use James. I've had a relationship with James. How long have I known you? 12 years?
Man, yeah, it gets longer every time we ask. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
And there's a lot of people that knock my door, loan officers, well, I can do this and I can do that. And I'm like, no. I'd rather work with somebody that I know, that I trust, and I get a straight answer.
Right.
And most of all, an honest answer.
Absolutely.
Whether I like the answer or not, because I do feel there's an epidemic in America for everybody to tell you what you want to hear.
What you want is to tickle your ears.
And that's the one thing that I really don't like about America. And some people can't take me. They say, what an asshole that Stephen Williams is. But I can guarantee you, sorry guys, I'll be honest with you, because at the end of the day, my integrity is more important.
Absolutely.
And I'm not selling my integrity for anything, but I'll give you my opinion. You don't agree with me, I'll respect you for it, whether we're making an offer on a property or not. And I had some people say, no, I'm not doing business with me. And one point that comes to mind was somebody that they wanted a higher amount of money for their property than what I had recommended they get. Because people have got this opinion about real estate agents that all I'm after is the money. No, exactly. It's not. I'm after a good experience.
Yep.
So when I walk away from that, particular project, that I feel good about what I've done, I've given a good service to the client.
Absolutely.
The client's in a position where they can move on. And I tell them all, they can always come back and call me directly. You're now a member of the Olympian family. Anyway, he didn't like what I had to say. So he went to find another agent, discount agent. And then he ended up listing with him, and he had it listed for 6 months. Then, all below and he's going down and down and down over the time.
Right.
Then here's the crux of it. When we list a home, we'll give them a cash offer for the property, all right? Or you can sell it traditionally through a real estate agent.
Right.
That's part of our program. So then he decides to sell it to the world of Zillow.
Oh, wow. That was an amazing decision.
Well, we all know what happened to Zillow buying houses.
Oh, yeah.
So
put the brakes on that.
So, and he ended up getting less than he ever did.
Wow.
And if he'd honestly have listened to what I said originally, he would have made more money. But that's all down to experience now.
Of course.
No grudges. But it's just that when people are interviewing for agents, they just need to do a bit of research on the agent.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
My opinion is, I know we differ on this, don't read everything that you see on social media.
You can't.
Because, you really don't know. But I'm a big believer in the American dream, regardless who your president is, who your vice president is, who the opposition are. I just want to see a third party. That's all I want to do.
Or fourth. I'm with you on that.
I just want to see a third party to try and get rid of this partisanship.
Yes, sir.
We need a third party. Andrew Wang, and you said there's Jill somebody, didn't you?
Joe Jorgensen.
Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need
she's
to
with the
start
libertarians, and Andrew Wang is with the
why
forward
all
party.
The third parties get together and sort of.
Well, I think they could, but there's always a push on. My idea is the best. That's really what it is.
Ego.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah, well, when you get ego, you don't get professionalism.
You do not. You lose it because it's about self.
That's the first rule of professionalism. Lose the ego.
Yeah, rather than the people you're supposed to be representing, you're trying to represent your ideals.
I tell you, one of my first coaches said, for you to remain professional, you need to get rid of all the emotion.
He's right.
And I learned that lesson hard, as I explained to you, which we'll go into later on.
He's right.
in this
We'll
podcast.
We'll close out with that.
We'll close out with that. So stay to the end of this podcast,
Yes.
because I can tell you we've got some interesting things to tell you about
Absolutely.
being professional and get rid of the emotion.
Yes. While we're still in the real estate vein, you want to go over some of these developments coming to our wonderful area in Houston?
Yeah, we could do that.
That's a lot. There's actually a lot.
I was going to say, if you wanted to, we could talk about that next week when we sort of in next week's podcast when we wrap up the year.
Well, it's a lot, so we don't have to cover all of them. But I know there's a few on here that I felt like I saw this a couple of weeks ago, and it's just one of those things where it's exciting to see stuff that's coming to the area. In some of these areas where you're like, oh man, that area, there's no way they're going to build that there, but people see value in it. And if you got some foresight, then hey, it's a beautiful thing. So, when's the last time you've been to the zoo? Man, I have not been to the zoo.
There's there's two animals that I really love.
Okay. Who are they?
Obviously, the first thing is the chimpanzee, because I believe in science.
Okay.
I believe in the apes and everything. But the other thing that I really like are elephants. I've always wanted. There is a place in North Thailand that I want to go to.
Sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary,
yeah.
and it's an orphan. It's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a sanctuary for elephants, and you can go there. You pay to go there, and I really want to go there before I jump in my box and go 6 foot under. And you can go there into the river, and you can help bathe the baby elephants, and they pick you up and throw you.
I know exactly where
around.
you're talking. I've looked at it because my wife and I have talked about going to the elephant
I
sanctuary.
would love to go there, but
Me
apparently
too.
it's a bit of a haul to get there.
It is. It is.
It's no air conditioning for 6
Nope.
hours on a train,
Yes.
people on the roof. It's a little bit of a hard journey, but I would love to have the experience of I always wanted to touch an elephant, experience it.
So it's interesting you say that because
And don't mention anybody in my office,
Right.
just because we're talking about elephants.
Elephants.
There's there's no elephants in my office. They're all at Houston Zoo.
elephants, and my favorite animal of all time for me is a giraffe.
Let me guess.
Well, I already told you.
Oh, I was going to say the snake.
No. Heck no.
You're not a
Man, no. The giraffe.
You're them little grass snakes. that you see
I
in
like the
yard.
giraffe, man. I got giraffes at my home.
Do you like because of the long neck? Or
Well,
do you like
I
them because they can eat the food that you can't eat?
They're
or
so
what?
graceful, man. They're just kind
They
of.
are.
And quite frankly, I feel like God has a sense of humor because if you've ever seen a giraffe take a drink of water, it is probably one of the most. It's probably the funniest thing you watched an animal do because they got to get that long neck. They got to
But their legs
spread their
go
legs
wide,
all wide. And they're very vulnerable when it comes to drinking water. But I like the way that the giraffe,
I've got to tell you, talking about giraffes, did I ever tell you the day when we competed in the World Professional Championships and we spent a day on safari?
No.
Right. Well,
Where are the championships?
at the time it was in a place called Botswana.
Oh, okay.
All right, which was just outside South Africa.
South Africa, right.
And they've changed the name of Botswana now. So when we went there, they have an entertainment package for everybody to, on days off to go out there and experience the
There's
culture.
my giraffes.
There you go.
Yes.
And we had a day on safari. So we're there in the heat with no air conditioning in the vehicles. We're on safari, and we go through safari. I guess how many animals we've seen that day?
Don't tell me none.
0.
Well, y'all were ice skaters.
They tell you when you go on safari,
right.
that you look in the bushes and some of the animals are there, but you can't see them.
They're
Right.
camouflage. Yeah, you can't see them.
And then we didn't see any animals, but the guy that was actually showing us on the safari would say, "There's a leopard," and he'd give us binoculars and we'd look at the leopard. And then you'd look at something else and you'd see a giraffe with his head through the tree, and oh, there's a giraffe. But we never seen any animals. We didn't see one.
That's funny.
And that's what makes me laugh when you look on TV and you see these people on safari and they're seeing all these animals, they're getting close. And I'm like, how many hours has it taken to get that shot?
Exactly. You're right. So to that point, as we got all off the rails, Houston Zoo is doing an expansion, man. The Galapagos Island expansion, I think it's like a $70 million addition, and it's supposed to be next year. But when they finish this, it's a completely renovated
That looks
walkthrough
cool.
underquarium. It's pretty cool, man. And if you hit that next picture, Jacob, it's an underwater this aquarium. It's going to be a walkthrough, a tunnel where you can actually be kind of underneath with all the sea turtles and all that kind of. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be really cool to see this, and it makes me excited to get ready to go back to the zoo. I'll say that. So, yeah, it's a couple of slides over here. To hit it a
I'll
couple
go
of
take a
times
look
for
at
that ad. I think
pretty
it's
cool.
2 or 3 over. There you go. Kind of see what it. That looks pretty cool. I would take a trip to the zoo to do that. I've been to some pretty cool zoos in my lifetime.
But there is an aquarium in Houston.
We have an aquarium, but I've heard it's pretty underwhelming now. It's not. It's more for like the little kid stuff, but nothing, to that magnitude where you can actually see them. So, it is what it is.
Her indoors, the wife's calling me, so let's just tell her, I want a podcast, darling.
You got to check on the wife, man. You got to make sure everything is good with them. This next little area, let's see. So Memorial Park is an area in our city that's pretty nice.
It's very nice.
But I know there's some areas that aren't as accessible. So this is a land bridge they're going to be building, which I think that looks pretty. That looks like something that you'd find in Europe, going through some side of a mountain or something.
The part that disappoints me about Houston, and I think Houston's behind a lot of. Houston's the only city where you've got to jump in a car, maybe go 3/4 of a mile, because on most of the roads there's no sidewalks.
Oh yeah, and the transit system is a little watered down,
and people just don't use the transit. And
yeah,
as good as this is, as good as a great idea it is, do you not think it would be a better idea to maybe make a better transit system for people to use? Because it's like one of the problems in Houston, I feel, is it's a little bit of a stereotyping thing that goes on where only the lower class, if you want to use the
transit,
metro.
yeah.
When you go to, in my opinion, wonderful cities like Amsterdam, or Amsterdam, or some other cities, people cycle more. There's cycle lanes. It's more accepted to use public transport. I personally would be okay with using public transport,
right,
if I felt that it was efficient. Because as nice as them tunnels are, where does it stop? It's like it's making us more reliant.
Well, I think in that space, I don't disagree with you
Because
on that.
in my particular place where I live, which is in A-Leaf, okay, it's a very mixed area, and I like it because it's very diverse, very Hispanic, African American, people from all over the world living there. Sometimes when people say it's A-Leaf, they go, "Ugh." But what I'll say is I like it. Great location, easy access to Galleria, Beltway. If I want to get to Galveston, it's really good. And we live on a private estate, which is, it's okay. But there's no sidewalk. For you to walk, you've got to walk in the road, which makes it difficult. So in theory, what have I got to do? For me to be safe, I've got to jump in a car to go to the store.
Well, I think in this project specifically, there's so much area and space in that Memorial Park
Which
that
is
wasn't
huge.
being.
It's huge.
It wasn't being used. So rather than allowing there to be more roads to run through it and take it up, I think they're trying to make it to where we can access some of those unused spaces. But I don't disagree with you, because our transit system, if you don't live in kind of one of the centralized areas in a city center, or maybe up north or out west, southwest, We really don't have one to speak of.
Well, I'll tell you what made me realize this, if you want to, is yes, everybody, the days have happened when I've been told I've got to lose some weight. And so I was looking at different things out there, and I'm looking at this thing called a keto diet. Now, me being epileptic, my doctor said if you're going to do a diet, do a keto diet. So I'm doing this keto diet. Now, in all fairness, I'm actually enjoying it.
Okay.
I'm actually enjoying this. It's not too bad. But then I decide, well, I've got 3 old English sheepdogs. So to walk around the block every night, what I'll do is I'll grab a dog, walk around the block once, which I've measured is 0.95 of a mile.
Okay, almost a mile.
I'll grab a dog and I'll walk it round. And to be fair to all the dogs,
you do all
to
of
discipline
them.
me, I've got to do all of them.
Right.
But I'm walking in the street. There's no sidewalk to work on, which is really called a path in English.
Right.
There's nothing to it, and it's dangerous. And when you've got a dog, and I am picking up his poop, by the way, as I'm walking round.
Right.
And then, it's just dangerous. So I'm thinking to myself, here we are as an obese nation. If we was animals, all right, we'd be eating natural foods, correct? So you never see I've never seen a bear that's overweight, even though they go around and they, in people's stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if they're eating natural foods, when we are poisoning ourselves, in my opinion, when you really get down to it, then they're active, they're eating natural foods. How are we active? We go to the supermarket, we pick the food, we eat it.
Yeah. We're all guilty, man.
But we've got no sidewalks to walk on.
So
how do we, even to walk to the store, it's a dangerous thing.
It is dangerous. It is dangerous. But, at this point, we've got to kind of try to adjust and adapt to it because Houston, just the city of Houston, is about 670 square miles. So there's a lot of areas. So you can't just throw a transit system just in there.
No, it should have been put in before.
It should have, exactly. Should have been.
That's the problem. It's difficult to put in after.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you a question. You live in a very modern area, correct? Mm-hmm. Is there sidewalks?
Yes. Here's why. There wasn't. But I participated in the mud board and on the POA in my neighborhood, and we paid for sidewalks to be put in after the neighborhood.
Is that ridiculous?
It is. They don't think about it. No one thinks about it.
So now everybody's trying to be more health conscious.
Right.
What have we got to do? We've got to pay to go to a gym to work out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be more convenient for people to just have sidewalks to walk on?
Sure. It's safest. It is safest. I don't disagree with you, sir. I've got a stomach implant I've got to get removed myself. So I'm with you. I am with you.
You paid a lot for that stomach implant.
I did, man. I did.
But I enjoyed it. Try the keto.
Yes.
Right.
I'm going to have to check it out. Get all the details on it. But moving on, as we talked a little bit about, I don't know much about this Ismaili Center, but that's another in that Allen Parkway, Montrose area. They're going to be building a new. The building looks beautiful. I mean, I don't know what's going to be in there, but that'll be what it looks like. It's pretty cool to me. Oh man, this is what I was waiting for. Shipley Donuts, baby. So of course, they're going to be building a new complex out there where the old Fingers Furniture was. 60,000 square feet, man. They got to have at least a sampling. Here we are talking about walking. We're talking about walking and losing weight, and they're putting this stinking Shipley's Donuts, 60,000 square feet.
Well, I've got to be honest. I don't eat the donuts anymore. I used to when I first came to Houston. Every morning, I used to go before I go to the ice rink at 5:00. My students would bring me donuts,
right? And
we'd sit on the boards. The parents would bring the coffee, and I'd be eating donuts all day. That's what caused this. All right. And then after they all went to school, where did I go to?
The donut shop.
Shipley's Donuts, just to get a kolache and another cup of coffee. As you can tell, I don't even.
Look, he's already got the Shipley's Donut
This
cup
is like
right
the
there.
4th time it's been filled up today. It's not Shipley's coffee, unfortunately, anymore.
This podcast is not sponsored by Shipley.
That is correct.
But in Houston, Shipley is a tradition, is it not?
It is. It is.
There's another one that I used to go to called Mary Maid, something Maid. What was it called? If anybody knows it, post it in the comments. Mary Maid, something Maid.
You might be dating yourself. I don't remember that one, man.
In the 90s, something Maid. I hope she was cute, but it was something.
I don't remember.
Southern Maid Donuts or something.
Southern Maid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Maid was M-I-D, as in Maid.
They may not. Maybe it didn't catch on because I don't see them
Yeah, that's
around.
good around. I've seen a few.
There.
And the Texas Medical Center, that's the reason why I came here.
Yes, the medical center. It's already the largest in the world. And they are adding. I mean, that place is nuts over there. It's just any medical. If you are in the medical field, the industry, and you want to find a job, and you're not looking in Houston, and I don't know what's wrong with you because it is an area, of course, that is lined with opportunity here in that medical center.
One of the reasons why I chose to live in Houston was because there is a history of cancer in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got one of the most ultimate organizations that you could ever wish for, which is the MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the amount of times when I was flying over from the UK to here, there was people that was flying in from the Middle East. They was flying in from Europe specifically for MD Anderson Cancer Center. Now, getting an appointment to MD Anderson Cancer Center, that's
it's
the problem.
tough. Yes, that is tough. And finding parking. My Lord,
I hate
terrible.
driving in the medical center just for parking alone.
It is definitely terrible.
It's, that's why we need sidewalks, and I'd rather take a bike. It's healthier.
All right, we can, I guess we can touch on this last one here. So this, I don't know, I've been telling people about this because it's very similar, Steve, if you remember how the Sunnyside area used to be. Sunnyside, 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, so on and so forth. As far as it being a revitalization area, they're coming in there and building homes and just really, truly turning around what the area looks like. This East River project that they're going to be building in the 5th Ward, the historic 5th Ward area, which
just so people outside Houston is traditionally African American area.
Absolutely. It is an area where it's been around. There's a lot of history been made there. There's a lot of some old restaurants that are even still there in that area, and I'm hoping that they can still remain. But this East River project, of course, it's been met with a lot of mixed reviews of people just kind of wanting to keep some of the history. But it is an area that is vast, and the potential.
Is this where the turkey leg hut is?
No, that's in 3rd Ward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the area is vast, and it's a great opportunity to come in to buy up the land because it's cheaper and build some of this stuff now. Hopefully they don't have to displace anybody, but this project, man, is going to be amazing. A $2.5 billion project that's coming.
Is this a student project or is this?
No. It's going to be 150 acres of just mixed use.
Okay, because we've got something in the pipeline where we were trying to work with one of our clients where he's got some land and we're working at doing a property development, putting some housing near one of the universities.
So they're going to start, I think it's expected to start to kind of the waterfront piece they're going to be doing within the next 2 years. But once it's all finished, they can take 10 to 15 years, but it'll be apartments and office complexes and all kinds of stuff, restaurants, retail shops. Right. It's going to look really nice over there.
Well, let me ask you one point. When they spend billions of projects like this, do you think it's important that they provide some sort of affordable housing for people?
I think so. I think it is, and I'm hoping to that point that some of these apartments in there aren't going to be so extravagant that folks that are in that area can't afford to live there anymore. Because where do they go?
Well, I want to direct a question at Jacob that's hiding behind that camera. Are you plugged in, Jacob?
I am plugged in, yes.
He sounds so polite, doesn't he?
He is.
He sounds so polite.
What do you mean? He is polite.
We've got to rough him up a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Jacob. For you to buy your first house today.
Okay.
What do you feel that looks like?
What buying my first house would be like?
Yeah, your first property.
So I would probably choose a smaller home, maybe like Bedrooms, 2 bath, kind of dealio.
3 bedroom, 2 bath, your first home? By English standards, that's a mansion.
That's a smaller over here.
Yeah, that's a smaller one in Texas, right?
Yeah, because it's just me, my girlfriend, and my cat. We don't really need that much room.
So your cat needs a room?
I mean, if he wants it, sure. He is pretty like high and mighty. He has a big ego, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind it.
Okay. I don't know why he's so placid.
Well, he's
He's looked after his cats. I should call his cat something else, but that
don't do it.
that wouldn't go down too well
Don't do
on the
it. Don't
channel.
do it. I know where you're headed already.
Yeah.
I know where you're headed already.
Because that's what frustrates me, is how do the younger people of today
Right.
buy their food?
Yeah, no, we're waiting for quite a long time, waiting for stuff to come down and hopefully prices to go down, and not with all this crazy house market stuff.
See, that's why I'm glad he said that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to happen?
Come down?
I don't.
Nope.
I mean, I hope it does.
I think a lot of
I know
people.
you hope it does.
A lot of people are
It's
banking on
not.
that, but I don't. I
Because
think
the
we
government's
missed it.
set up in such a way at the moment, they can't go through what they went through in the early 2000s. Well, then, and it won't happen again. The government's just going to put money into it to push up them prices, which makes it harder for people like you to jump on
Yeah,
that.
I agree. I don't think it'll be a situation where, but to that point, unfortunately, Jacob, I think folks like they feel the same way you feel. They're waiting. They're hoping that we'll be able to get this great deal. And man, those great deals are, it's like coming into the gold rush, 30 years later.
On that point, let me ask you a question. Are you better off, somebody in Jacob's position?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jacob better off waiting, building his funds up, or is he better off buying something, maybe even a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, or something like that, to get himself on the ladder?
Get in now.
Even if it's
Because
something that's not,
maybe that he doesn't want right
even
now.
if it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath.
You gotta have some foresight with it, right? Because if you get in now, what you're gonna buy, today's price is not yesterday's price. That's basically what I'm getting at.
And I'm going to reinforce something that you said. One of the properties, my first property that I bought in America, okay, I paid $21,000 for it, 95. It's just been valued at 85.
85,000.
85,000. And I'm getting offers. It's not even for sale, but get these ridiculous call wholesale.
Right.
And never ever buy a call. When somebody calls you on the phone and says, "I can make a cash offer on your house for everybody," don't listen to them. Get yourself an agent. Get it valued.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they're making their money on, the markup that they're buying the house up for you. Because that's the part that's difficult for people like Jacob, is to get on that ladder.
It is. And it's tough because the prices are so high. They're going to be hovering around. That's where they're going to be. So we have to put ourselves in a position to just get in, take the dive, jump in there, get it, and to kind of move forward through
Katie
it. So,
Crystal Clear Lagoon.
oh, they got those popping up all over the place. But we'll save some of that for next week. Let's not go
do that.
go through
Let's
all
do
of
that.
them.
Yeah, we'll go through.
I think you had something else we were going to discuss regarding. This is almost kind of tapping into what we were talking about. You threw in
Stocks close at highs.
Was that? Yeah, that was yesterday.
Why don't we do what?
Well, because that's kind of along the same vein of what you were what we were close out with, right?
Yeah, it is. We're going to for everybody that's sort of taking a look at this video. I've got some things to share with you, which I think it's an opportunity. But stocks dropped like 3 or 4 days last week, and I don't know if any of you know, but there are ways how you can make money. What's the name of that famous movie where they made millions of dollars when all the stocks dropped? The Wall Street.
The Big Short.
The Big Short. There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what it meant until I was introduced to it by my son with all this crypto and everything else. And then one of my very good friends, she got onto system, which I'm going to share with you guys later on. I'll actually even share you my personal account with the numbers. But last week, for 3 or 4 days on the trot, the Nasdaq dropped.
Right.
And it dropped significantly. All right. Well, anyway, recently and yesterday, the last 2 days, it shot through the roof again. And if you see what's that's got on here, can you just stocks close at highs? Why has yours got a different screen than mine? Go to the top a little bit. Okay, mine's got a different.
Oh, his is playing the video. Oh, yours is playing the video. It looks like.
Oh, it is.
Looks like it is. Because there's a video.
Yeah, it is. Let me go to 1:15 on that video, if you can, Jacob. And then just put it on hold. A bit more. 1:15. There you go. I mean, look, them are the numbers. Them are the numbers from yesterday, which was the 21st.
Oh, wow.
So basically, this is what happened. The sort of leading into this, guys. I went and joined because I wanted to learn, and I don't feel that I want to learn from everybody on the internet because there's some of the stuff isn't right. But I wanted to learn on a system that I learned I was concerned from people from a true educational purposes, and they weren't financial advisors, but people that had been in the business for so long, who basically know different strategies in the financial markets, whether it be cryptocurrency, indices, currencies, and such like. So a friend of mine turned around and said, a very good friend of mine turned around and says, join this thing called I Am Academy. And everybody says, some people say it's a waste of money. Some people say it isn't. But when you see, last Friday, I took on my account, I took it from $300 to $6,500 in one day.
One freaking day. You heard that? 300 to 6,500.
Right. And that's honestly what I increased it to last Friday. But what did my first mentor say to me? To keep it professional, don't get wrapped up in the emotion.
Take the emotion out of it, man.
So I didn't follow the rules that I was taught on I Am Academy. And by the time it got to Monday morning, I was back down to $250 again. So
Greed. You seen that movie? Greed. That's another good
because
movie.
You're thinking, I'm winning. Let's go. And so all the experts basically tell you for the first hour and a half of the markets, just go make your money, and then hang it up and forget it, because that's when the most gains are made historically. And I'm glad to say, since then I've built it up. $250 on Monday, I built it up $250 a day, and I'm just doing micro.
Just trying to get it back.
Yeah. Building it up slowly, and then now I'm up to what are we? Wednesday.
Yep.
Well, it's back up to 1,000, so that's more than like $250 a day.
It's still a far cry from 65. I won't let you live that down, man.
No, but it goes to show. But you step outside the rules.
You do.
And the trending, and you get emotion. But I would say to anybody, give it a go. Yes, there's a cost to it, but in my opinion, it's rather than watching Netflix or rather watch, your YouTube channels, even, to be perfectly honest, go and watch some videos on how you can make some money, because there's people out there making serious money at the moment.
They are.
From crypto, and
From
we're
the
not
stocks,
endorsed
yeah.
by I Am Academy. This is just my own personal experience, but they've got some groups in there and it's worked out pretty well for me. If I followed what they've said and the guidelines they've said by the educators, I've always been up.
Yeah.
But as soon as you step out of them rules that they give you, you get creamed.
You're at risk.
And I feel sorry for some people, because some people, they've lost thousands of dollars on
They
crypto.
have, man.
There's some people that have made millions of dollars on crypto.
But
There's
to your point, you got to go in without the emotion, though. You got to go in knowing that risk is there.
You have,
Yeah.
and it's so difficult to do. And there's a saying that one of the traders says, which is, don't trade with the trend, but don't trade with your emotions,
Right.
because it's so difficult. But saying that, and it's so difficult, like this morning I was up $275, but it's hard to walk away from it. It's hard to keep this phone
It is.
over there so I don't touch it.
Because you can make a little more, right? Oh, if I do this, if I do that.
There is
yeah.
a link below for anybody that's interested, that wants to give it a shot. You're more than welcome. And what I like about this particular group is they have groups. So you find a group in your area, so you can all work and exchange ideas.
Oh, okay. That's
But
cool.
you've got to be careful who you share. Sure. But it tells you the basics. The most incredible video I've ever done, to be perfectly honest, was explain the 4 different types of traders. And it's all based on your patience.
Right.
So my patience level, James. Let me tell you've got a scalper that's in and out, and then you've got a day trader and an intraday trader, which
Right.
basically gets in the morning, is out by 4 o'clock. And then you get a swing trader, and then you get a position trader.
Absolutely.
What do you think I am?
Scalping.
Absolutely.
Totally scalping.
The problem that I've had more than else is I've got into it, and then I've got into a point where, I'll be honest with you, I've got to focus more on my real estate. But you can understand why perhaps people don't want to. What did I say to you last Friday when I was $6,500 up? What did I say? How it's wrong that I can go in there, put
And
my
do
butt
that.
on a desk,
Right.
make $6,500, and I'm looking at the people digging roads on the streets.
Absolutely.
What they do, it is so unfair. Now, I do suggest that people maybe try it as a second gig.
Well, here's I guess.
Because the learning curve when you start on is like this.
Absolutely.
But you'll only get out of it what you put in it, guys. You've got to look at
that
them
is it.
videos. You don't get a live account for the first 2 years. 2 years is what all the experts tell you to do. And I find that hard to do. I put up some what I consider gambling money, because then I pay attention when I lose money. I pay more attention, because if not, I'm not an attention to detail person, and I can guarantee you I picked it up pretty quickly.
Well, that's cool. It's definitely a risk. You got to be willing to
What
take
do you
it.
invest in, James?
I've just been doing the stocks, just regular stock. I have a plethora of different stocks that I have, but I'm not the intraday. I'm more in for the long haul with it. But I'm going to start doing a lot more moving on it, because you gotta be able to get in and get out. I don't know if I'll be scalping.
Well, the reason
I do
why
want
I like the
to
scalping
get in.
is because I think you're better off taking the profit while you can see the profit.
Sure.
I bought some stocks on different recommendations on Yahoo Finance, for example, and Kathy Woods was one of them. Told me to buy one stock, and then bought it, and it hasn't done nothing. And actually, it's actually gone down in value.
And you still got it.
But and I think because of the social media presence,
Yes.
you end up buying it. GameStop is a typical example. There's
Based on
people
emotion.
that people are giving you bad information. And that's why I wanted to go to IM Academy. I wanted to learn from people that have been in the business, who were successful at what they did, and I could learn and make my own decisions. So it's at my own cost.
Well, here's a sad story from my life. I looked at GameStop and decided against it when it was around that $2 to $4 range, and never bought any. I kick myself every day now. It's like, man.
No, I made some money on GameStop. I got into it.
But I never got in. Now I got in the AMC the run. I did get in that and made a good amount of money with that. But the GameStop one I missed completely, because it's like, man, nobody's buying hard disc anymore, and really that doesn't matter, because people jumped in and the market manipulated the stock, and here we are.
Do you invest? What do you invest in? Come on,
Cat
Jacob.
food.
I did get into crypto for a hot minute.
Okay.
So
For a
A
hot
hot
minute.
minute.
for a hot minute.
So you're not in anymore.
No,
Come on, Jacob.
I had to pull out. So, but I did make a little bit of money, but it wasn't anything huge. I invested, I think, into a little bit into Bitcoin, a little bit in Ethereum, and then a little bit of Dogecoin as well.
Of course, of course.
And
Yeah.
I bet you lost on the Dogecoin or Doggy Coin, whatever it was called.
Yes and no. So it was right before like a huge crash happened that I pulled out, and I came out of it with a few $100s ahead than what I got
Okay.
in with. So I'd made decent gains, but I did it just because I was like, oh, I just wanted an extra cash right away, and I was just like, I had my fun with it, and I pulled out. The next 2 days later, huge crash. Everything went down. I would have been down like a few $100. So, so I was like, I got really lucky.
Well, good for you.
And that's scary.
It is.
is.
Yeah,
It
scary.
really is.
And then, Bitcoin took a dip.
Oh yeah, it was still. I was trying to pull
Right.
it up and see if it was still down.
Now, I scalped
yeah, it's
Bitcoin
below
last week.
It's below 50
And I
now.
made myself $1,900.
But we
And
know
that's just scalping, just getting in and getting
we
out.
know Bitcoin is going to come back though.
I think it's going to go down before it comes up.
But we know it's going to come back.
Well,
Do you think?
I'm not endorsing any system.
Of course, no,
But
no
I'm just,
system.
people need to read in between the lines. This channel is not. This channel is not
Say it.
sponsored by I Am Academy.
We're
And
not.
this is
And-
not.
and
this
we're-
channel is not financial advice either.
We're
Please
not.
do
No,
not
no,
take
no.
us
All
seriously
opinion.
on everything.
What I will tell you is some of the people who teach crypto, I find crypto very complicated because of the way you trade it. And then you've got altcoins and you've got different things. And then you've got to have a MetaMask account. Then you've got other type of accounts. Even my bank won't let me have a Cash App card.
Really?
Yes. They won't let me have a Cash App card because they know what I'm doing with it with crypto. All right.
Right.
So it's really is complicated for an old man like me to get that. So that's why I like going to I Am Academy, and they do like a 10-day class where it teaches you
Sure.
from 0 to 100,
Absolutely.
where you understand it better. But what I have heard is that some people think that crypto will go down to about 44. Bitcoin will go down to around 44, 45-ish. And then by this time next year, it could possibly double. And I'm putting possibly in for a reason.
Possibly.
Then within 5 years, might be as much as 400, 500.
So what
I've been scalping is I've been scalping it to try and buy more Bitcoin
right.
to work my up to a full coin.
Of course. If I can just get one. I think Tom Brady gave somebody a Bitcoin, didn't he?
Did it?
For that football that his 100th, whatever the milestone, they threw it into the stands, and in order to get it back, they gave the guy like season tickets, and I think Tom Brady gave him a Bitcoin as well, which is, at that time it was like 50, 60 grand or something, but it is what it is. It'll be worth more though, for sure.
Yeah.
I would have kept the football.
But the problem with trading crypto is the spreads with a lot of these people are so high
They are.
that you've really got to get in at the bottom.
Yeah. Buying the dip, man. I say buying the dip, hold it. It'll, buy a little bit here and there. I got my son in, so he made a little bit of money and he saw it quickly, and that's the most addictive thing. Once you get in, if you make a little bit of money,
That's the problem. It's walking away from it.
yes, that's it.
It really is a problem.
That is.
I've just got Bitcoin up now, and I've got it at 48,884.
Yep, it is.
And it's bouncing around the place.
It is. Well, cool, man. That was
So
good.
if anybody's
discussion.
interested, the link for I Am Academy is below. If you want to give it a go, I would highly recommend it personally. I feel, since I've been doing it, I feel it's helped me with my real estate as well. And I feel it's helped me as a business person. I do feel because, I feel that we need to talk about this maybe another time, but I feel the capitalist society and our
Sure.
structure is falling apart. and I really feel that people have got to start when they've got to do second jobs and third jobs and such like. But at least if they can do something this passively, because you can set it up to buy at this price and sell at this price while you're in bed asleep.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like about it. You know, put it in and forget about it. But and that's what I like about it. But just don't do it emotionally.
You can't.
And you know, it's ironic because there's a lady that I think is great on this group. She's called Lee Allen, and she mentors Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning on the new system that they've got, and it's just amazing to sort of see what she predicts. Mm-hmm. And she says it can go up, it can come down. She puts them in for both, and you've got to wait, and you have to take your own risk level to what you want to make it. But sometimes it's amazing how some of these educated individuals that have been doing it for years,
right,
on how they predict where it's going. I mean, in 50 pips.
Well, it's a lot like us. When we've been doing our industry for a long time, we can look at a market and say, oh yeah, I remember when this happened, and blah, blah, blah. This is probably what's going to be happening next. So I think it's the same. The more you're around it, the better you get at predicting.
Absolutely. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to get into it. And that's why I say, to that point, if you ever get a loan and you get it's the same process, right. Really.
It is.
You really think about it.
It is. So.
And you know, I was watching, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but you know, there's some points that Dave Ramsey makes that I think are very poignant. I don't agree with his 15-year mortgage thing.
I don't either.
Because if you really go the 15, not many people are in a position to afford a 15-year mortgage. And you really are, like I said to Jacob, getting in now, even if it's just a little place, so at least you can get some equity out of it, but get yourself a good agent so you don't end up with too much responsibility, as in repairs and ongoing repairs and such like. But if it's put together properly, I think it's a positive. But what I do agree with him is, you know, you should have some investments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you can't rely on corporate America with capitalism collapsing.
There's got to be a diversification of your income, and anything that you do, you have to have it and be open to it. So.
And what have we got to do to start a third party, Jay? Come on, what have we got to do to help?
We got to keep talking about it, like we do.
Everybody, we need a third party.
As many things as we disagree about, that is one thing that we agree about for sure. We need another party.
In the UK, just so we know, in the UK, there is 14 parties.
That's a bit overkill. That's a cheap.
But it's not, because everybody's got to talk to one another.
I get that, but
you know, it's like this whole. You know, just come out with Joe Manchin. You know Joe Manchin, the Democrat.
Uh-huh.
He's got a yacht. He's got a huge mansion.
Are we surprised?
I mean, that's what's wrong with the politicians in
I'm
this
not
country.
surprised.
The politicians should represent the people.
Yeah.
We have the same problem in the UK, but it's not to the same extent.
Yeah.
Because the politicians, there's more parties, so they tend to speak to one another a bit more to try and get some of their points forward. Is it harder? Is it difficult in many ways? Yes, but we haven't got people. You know, it's like I put something in the thing, perhaps that we'll talk about next week.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How about we continue this conversation on an actual podcast and we just talk about it? Let's do that. Because I think it needs to be talked about.
Let's talk about it next week.
Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Remember, we're going to, if you have information about what you talked about as far as the I Am Academy, it'll be in the description below, along with all of our contact information down in the description below. If you want to become a realtor, or if you want to buy, sell, lease a house, or if you need a mortgage, because, you know, you're going to need one of those to buy these homes out here. So we look forward to seeing you guys on a podcast every week, every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Boss?
No, have a great week, but most of all, have a good holiday. Spend some time with your family and enjoy it, because family comes before anything.
Absolutely. You're 100% right.
Yep. So enjoy yourself, guys.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Take care.